My cat is outside, motherfucker.
Yeah, but then you are not supposed to keep the cats inside. So how can you tell us that your dog is chasing our cat?
My cat ain't biting your dog. Your dog is biting my cat.
You don't have right to tell us.
That's a public kid.
All right, you know what, babe? You know what? You want to yell at me? You got that all on video? Call the cops. You see that?
Yeah.
They're gonna put your dog down.
Yeah, let him attack him. Go ahead. You don't even know how to fucking control the dog. You're letting him attack him while I get it all on video. That's crazy. Yeah, you shut the fuck up, dumbass. Fucking, yeah? You want to come touch me? Yeah? I bet you will. Yeah. Big man, bro. Big man. Big man. Big man. Big man. Big man. Don't fucking touch him.
Open the door. Call the cops. My cat.
Good afternoon, good morning, good evening, good whatever time zone you're in. Oh my God. When I first saw this video, I thought those were the skinny man's dogs that were attacking them. Then, of course, it turns out to be this fat boy's dogs. And everything was all right up until it was like, okay, this here's a decent man-to-man argument. This is okay. Then, you see the dogs here attacking them. At this point, I may have pulled out my gun and shot the damn dogs. That dog attacking me like that. Then this idiot, this fat boy, I was okay with this. This was man on man. And then Fat Boy decided he's going to get involved. And he's going to involve this guy's wife. Boom. Lays him, starts blasting him. And you see Fat Boy's wife now getting involved. She's trying to yank him back. Then she comes around and you can just see it here. She's taking a swing at the skinny guy. You can see it right there, just coming into frame. She's finishing taking a swing at the skinny guy. And I fully expected him to backhand the shit out of her. Seriously, I fully expected at this point for him to take a swing at her for that. And then she starts coming over the railing again. At that point, she's involved herself into a man-on-man fight. At that point, she's no longer just a frail little woman. She's involved herself in that fight, and it's time to take her out. Yeah. I figured that'd be a good video to open that up. Good morning, Ramen. Evidently, the guy's dogs was coming on their property and attacking their cats. Because you see, the guy's dogs weren't on a leash. I don't know, Fury. So, but women, when your husbands are fighting or when your men are fighting, all right, stay out of it. Stay out of it if you don't want hurt. If you involve yourself into two men fighting, all right, if you involve yourself into two men fighting, all right, at that point, you have done nothing more than made yourself an equal combatant. And when I mean equal combatant, I mean equal combatant. You are up. You are up for a battle. Okay? And just end the conversation. So women, stay out of it. Stay out of it. You don't want to get hit, and you don't want to sit there and say, "Oh, poor me, he hit me." Why'd you get involved? Why did you get involved? You got no reason to get involved in a battle if you don't want to get hit. Anyway, I saw that video and I thought that'd be something fun to start the day off with. Rather than my usual Ghost Riders stuff. Yesterday's stream, I've gotten various comments, feedback on yesterday's stream, and I've got to say I appreciate the comments. I appreciate the feedback. I am confused, though. I am confused because some of y'all liked it, and I don't understand why. Because I was not in a good mood. I really felt like I should have canceled the stream because I wasn't in a good mood, but I had things I wanted to say. So, but for the feedback that I got, and guys, please, give me feedback. All right. Because I know my primary purpose in doing this is for me to feel better about my day and get crap off my chest. Let me say what I want to say. But at the same time, I appreciate you guys telling me what you think about how I did. Because I just want to do. Oh, you just like listening to an old man? All right. Because there's times where there's days where after I get done at the stream and I'm still like, just in a pissy mood, I just get off the internet. I put on some 50s, 60s, and early 70s rock or country, pull out a good book or a stack of comic books or an old movie, big bag, a couple bags of popcorn, a big bag or a big thing of pop, soda for you other people, but pop for me, and just sit back and ignore the world, pretend it doesn't exist. Or I start baking bread. If I'm really in a bad mood, I bake bread. I put on the music and everything else, but instead of sitting down reading or watching a movie, I bake bread. Granddad's going off again. Quick, call your friends. Hey, Dar, good morning to you. But let's talk a little bit about the Fox News paying Dominion $780 million, $787.5 million. Okay. This is interesting. This is an interesting lawsuit. And it's interesting the way this has gone down. Now, Fox may have been smart in doing this because public opinion has built, developed, grown by the rest of the media was against them. All right. The media, big mainstream media, CNN, ABC, NBC, CNN, MSNBC, New York papers, they're all against Fox. And they were quick. They've been hammering this now for 2 years, how Fox lied, yada, 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 yada. But when the New York Times is being sued about lying, the same newspapers and such, the same media will come to their backs how this was a violation. They have a First Amendment right to say this, even if it's wrong. They still have the First Amendment right. So I find this interesting. In a way, I wish Fox had not done this, because one of the strongest things Fox could have done, presented in court, at least to people like me, was all of the videos out there and testimonies in congressional hearings when Trump was first elected about how bad Dominion was and how weak Dominion was and how Dominion could be hijacked by the Russians. Remember all those hearings? Remember all that stuff? But I don't know if that would have saved him in a court under a jury which had already been predisposed by the media to say Fox was wrong. Hey, Mr. Dax, how you doing today? But what this is also doing now has laid pretty good legal groundwork, and this hurts because now the legal groundwork for people and companies to sue MSNBC, to sue the New York Times, to sue CBS, ABC, NBC for what they put out there as news. Even if Fox would have lost, this would have been a win for people. And the good part of it is it would have been a win for the rest of the news media, or not for the rest of the news media, but for people like me, people like you, people who or companies that fall on the bad side of the mainstream media. Because that would have given them the legal precedent to sue these news corporations for lying, and they couldn't hide behind a very liberal interpretation of the First Amendment. Now, the freedom of the press does not mean the freedom to lie. And there is a freedom to be wrong, but there's not a freedom to lie. Yeah, people who fall to the right of Stalin or Mao. Yep. Oh no, project mismanagement. I just hope you weren't at the fault of that product mismanagement. But anyway, like I said, I do. This lawsuit was a two-edged sword. Yes, it would have hurt Fox. Yes, it has hurt Fox in settling the claim. In settling, they settled without admitting any wrongdoing. All right. Okay. Oh, you're just a tester. That's good. I'll talk about that here in a minute. Some personal experience. Okay. But yeah, we've got to make certain, like I said, it's two-edged sword here. It would have developed a new standard for the media, for the news media. But I mean, Fox has already got the black eye. They've already been labeled a liar by the news media. They've been labeled by the rest of the media and the popular opinion as a network of liars from the get-go, because they don't fall in line with the leftist propaganda. So all this has done now is given more ammunition for which false claims are false claims. So in a way, if Fox, I mean, they saved themselves here $20 million, $13 billion, $13 million. All right. That's all they basically did here. Save themselves, $213 million. They saved themselves $213 million and a judgment against them. But it would have set a new legal precedent that the rest of the media would have to follow. And I think that granted, the money's not coming out of my pocket, but I almost think that would have been worthwhile. I really do, because it does. The left-wing media gets away with too much. They get away with too many lies. They get away with too many distortions of the truth. They get away with too much wrong. Too many times they're absolutely wrong in what they're saying, and they know they're wrong in what they're saying. And they can get away with it under, we're protected by the First Amendment. We can say what we want to say. So, all right. And that is enough on that mess right there. That was 15 minutes of nothingness. All right. Yeah. Being just a tester, one part of what I'm still allowed to do, Dax, and get paid for, is I review other people's work before everything is completely finalized in the system. And last week, I don't know how I did it. I really don't. But I flagged somebody's work as being incorrectly done. And I was trying to explain it so that we could put out a so we could put something out to the people so other people wouldn't make the same mistake. Now, I reopened up the paperwork. I reopened the computer files. And the first thing I see is something I didn't see when I first initially reviewed the product, which made everything they did correct and me totally wrong. So I'm sitting there going, oh my God, okay. So I sit down and I send off an email to my superiors, to my boss and the owner of the company, because the owner of the company gets my reports. And I screwed the pooch. I was wrong. ... again. They love it when I admit that I'm wrong and I kick it off. That's usually my subject matter in my emails. That's what I put in the subject matters. I screwed the pooch. I was wrong. ... again. It doesn't make it any more right that I was wrong. And I still end up losing a couple of pounds of meat off my butt from the ass chewing I'm going to get. But yeah, it's testers and people who review other people's work. You've really got to hold yourself, and everybody else is going to really hold you to a higher standard than the people who actually did the work. Yeah, and you're right. It is professional to admit you're wrong. And I always try to inject a little bit of humor when I'm saying something negative, because you know, I don't want, even if it's against anybody else, I try to inject a little bit of humor into it somewhere so that it's not all nastiness in there, you know. And but yeah, and I agree with you. I would rather have somebody admit that they were wrong than hide it from me and make me find it later. And that's something I tell these people. They've all got my phone number. They've all got my email, and I tell them, hey guys, if you're having a problem or you think something is screwed up and you can't get a hold of these other people to help you out, call me, text me, email me, and I'll go in and I'll do what I can to fix it. I like that, Fury. I like that. Yeah. Oh, okay, Ramen. I see that. Okay. I see what you done there. I see what you did there. So, but anyway, yeah. This whole mess with Fox and everything else. Okay. Now here was an interesting story I come across this morning. I just want this not to be an all bad news day here because I'm actually in a good mood. Boy, I slept last night. Alcohol induced sleep. I actually pulled about 14. Between time sleeping on the couch and then actually going to bed to sleep, I probably slept 14 hours yesterday. So that's been the most sleep I've gotten in a 24-hour period in months, probably. Yeah, Dara, I know you fully admit it when I'm wrong. So let's see. Now we all, I've made claims. I've made claims, and this is the truth when it comes to me. All right. I could, God forbid, if something were to happen to my wife, if for some reason we were no longer together, okay, I could live totally by myself. As long as, if I had some way of making an income, having paycheck coming in to supply my basic needs, computer equipment, internet access, food, power, water, groceries, what you need to survive. I could probably go without face-to-face human contact with no problem. I wouldn't. The only time I'd ever need to leave my front door or the inside of my home would be to go out and check the mail or to play with the dog. And that's why, I've got a 6-foot privacy fence around my house, so I'd be much happier if there's an 8-foot privacy fence because people can look over a 6-foot fence. And yeah, and that's fine. I'm not a person that needs to have activities outside of my home with other people physically. I'm not that type of person. My wife, on the other hand, if she she gets off work and she goes over, she's got friends that she goes out and spends 45 minutes to an hour with, just walking out in the park, walking and talking. on the weekend, she has got to go out to the stores. Even if she's not going out to buy anything, she's got to leave the house and get away from the house for a few hours every weekend. So, totally opposite of me on this. But this woman, what she did is impressive. What this woman did is impressive, and impressive to know. I'm just amazed. Spanish athlete spent 500 days alone in a cave. After spending a year, thank you, NPR. After spending almost a year and a half in near total isolation, 230 feet below ground, Beatrice Flamini emerged from a cave in southern Spain and asked, "Who's buying the beer?" The climber and mountaineer had entered the cave in Granada on November 21st, 2021, determined to spend 500 days alone, monitored from afar by a group of scientists to explore the effects of isolation on the human body and mind. Flamini, who was 48 years old when she went down, and 50 when she officially completed the challenge. After resurfacing, she embraced supporters, met with her doctors, and spent nearly an hour talking to the reporters who gathered outside. She told them she was ready for a drink and a shower, but could have stayed in the cave longer. "I was sleeping or at least dozing when they came down to get me. I thought something had happened. I said, already? No way. I haven't finished my book." By that time, she'd already read 60 books. So, 8 days per book? That's not bad, depending on, Flamini's team says she spent her days reading, drawing, exercise, knitting woolly hats, and recording herself with 2 GoPros. The Spanish company, Doca plans on turning her experience into a documentary. I want to watch that. I really and truly want to watch that video. Yeah, okay. Flamini said she lost track of time after about 2 months in the cave and thought she'd only been in some 160 or 170 days. She described the experience as excellent and unbeatable, telling reporters she never even considered hitting the panic button. "In fact, I didn't want to come out." Now, this is a woman who's comfortable in her own skin. She's comfortable with being herself by herself. She doesn't need other people to tell her how great she is. She doesn't need other people to support her, to give her, this is a strong woman. This is a woman who is mentally and morally strong. She's got her own things that she can do, and she doesn't need other people there to do things for her. And I am thoroughly, thoroughly impressed. This is something that I don't know how to say it. I don't know what else I can say about it. I mean, how good, how mentally strong of a person. Flamini says she still feels like it's 2021. Indeed, major global events like Russia's full-scale invasion of Ukraine to the death of Elizabeth II happened while she was basically living under a rock. Now, she is one person who, when somebody says, "What, you don't know about this, where you've been under a rock?" she can say, "Yeah, for the past year and a half, I've been under a rock." That's wearing dark sunglasses. Yeah, she come out of the cave wearing dark sunglasses and a big smile. Yeah, she definitely need to have them sunglasses on. She's been living on Lantern Light for a year and a half. Oh my God, I made some excellent coffee this morning. I don't care what other people say. I made some excellent coffee. Her months in the cave were spent in silence and solitude. Let's see, team of scientists and kept in touch using special limited messaging technology. They delivered food, including special treats like avocados and fresh eggs, and removed her waste from a collection point every 5 poes. What the hell is a poe? I left my offerings there as if to the gods, and the gods left me food. Okay, so her poop and pee was an offering. Her trash was an offering. Gotcha. Before going underground, she told her team not to contact her under any circumstances, even if it's a family member's death. If it's no communication, it's no communication regardless of the circumstances. People who knew me respected that. Technical problem for us, Fellini to briefly pause the challenge around day 300. She spent 8 days in a tent without making any contact with anyone before returning to the cave. She spoke only when recording videos. I didn't talk to myself out loud, but I had internal conversations and got on very well with myself. Yes. That's what I think. She is a person that gets along with herself. Yeah, yes, Fury. Good point. Good point. Yeah, I forgot about that scene in that movie. No whiskey, no adult beverages in my coffee today. I've got to take medications this afternoon, therefore, no adult beverages when I'm taking medications. I'm paying today for not taking medications yesterday because of the adult beverages that I was under. So, anyway, there's some poor bastard took the head to analyze his offering. Yeah, you're probably right. There are some tough moments like when she experienced an auditory hallucination and when a fly invasion left her completely covered. This was, again, this is an article. The thing I liked about this is, this is showing that, human beings are amazing. They really are. We are such a people that usually require social contact. And yet here's a woman who basically spent 500 days alone. No social contact with anyone. She just had her basic necessities provided to her. Books, food, stuff she needed for, power. And she was completely happy with herself. I don't know if I could go to that extent, but I still find it amazing that she did. Now, I didn't know about that, Fury. I'll have to check into that. Did it in Kazakhstan? Oh. Now, I remember they did that Earth Dome thing. They tried to make, and that was a complete and total failure because they had to keep opening the doors to let outside oxygen in, outside air in. They thought they could. They're trying the experiment of making a dome that and growing enough plants to convert the CO2 into O2 and be completely self-sufficient as if they're like living on the moon or some type of a space-based type thing. And they kept having medical issues and problems with the air, where they didn't have enough plants basically to keep the O2 and CO2 levels correct. So anyway, wow. All right. Got two things dealing with religious freedom here. We talked about the First Amendment when it comes to freedom of press. Now here's a story about freedom of religion. And the first one I agree with. The second one I find some issues with. But we'll take a look at this one here. Post office made a Christian employee work on Sundays. Now he's at the Supreme Court. This actually was heard yesterday. Okay. Gerald Groff, a Christian former postal worker living in rural southeast Pennsylvania, said he was not allowed to serve Sabbath on Sundays and was punished when he did not work those days. Remember back in the day, before Amazon, post office did not deliver mail on Sundays, period. Now, the post office, you knew that the post office did not, if you had mail coming in and you didn't get it Saturday, you knew it would come in on Monday because there's no way you're getting any mail on Sunday. His fight with the post office, which argued the Groff's request to take all Sundays off, led to an unreasonable burdens on his co-workers and has made it up to the Supreme Court. The outcome could affect more than one religious postal worker's schedule. The case Groff versus DeJoy says will be, but it was actually argued yesterday. The stakes are much higher than a Sabbath observance. Now remember, some religions, their Sabbath is on Saturday. Others, some Christian denominations celebrate on Saturday, some celebrate on Sunday. And then you have the whole Muslim mess, which is, and certain Indian Hindu sects have, we're talking hundreds of holidays, literally hundreds of holidays throughout the year. Okay, I'll have to look that up, Fury. Thank you for that. Okay, some have on Thursdays. Okay, yeah, I wouldn't doubt that. The case has far-reaching implications in workplace could affect the ability for a Muslim to wear hijab. That's pretty much already a thing. You don't dare tell a Muslim woman she can't wear her hijab. Period. They even allow them to have their pictures taken in DMV for their driver's licenses wearing that hijab and the full face mask. They've been allowed to appear in court wearing it. Jews to wear yarmulke, or Rastafarians to wear their hair in dreadlocks. You can't tell a Rastafarian to cut his dreadlocks, even if he works in food. You've got to put it up. You've got to wear a hairnet. I think the only thing is wear falls under OSHA, like correctly being able to wear a hard hat or something like that. But I could, I wouldn't be surprised if there's not already rulings on that somewhere in the States. So, one thing we have to do is a given here in the United States. The only religion that is up for debate ever are Christians. Christians and their religious beliefs are the only ones allowed up for debate. Everything else is off the table. You're not allowed to, if they say it's part of their religion, it's part of their religion, you're not allowed to argue it. But if you're a Christian, you've got very few rights in the United States anymore. It could affect religious employees' ability to attend scheduled prayer services such as whatever or Sunday church. Well, it could even affect employees who refuse vaccines or don't want to have contact with patients who need abortion care. Title VII of the 1964 Civil Rights Act requires employers to show that an employee's request for a religious accommodation would create an undue hardship in order to deny it. The Supreme Court undercut this provision in 1997 when it ruled Transworld Airlines versus Hardison that undue hardship means employers only need to prove they face more than de minimis, very minimal cost to deny religious accommodation. Experts expect the Supreme Court will affirm that in order to deny religious accommodation requests, employers need to abide by a higher standard, one to be more reflective of the undue hardship enshrined in federal law. In ordinary usage, most people understand that undue hardship means something more than just a minimal cost or inconvenience. Says Joshua McDaniel, director of Harvard University Religious Freedom Clinic. Now, the military years ago made exceptions to the headgear wear requirements for Sikhs. Sikhs could wear their turbans. Sikhs could carry their ceremonial daggers at all times. And sometimes, and I'm using ceremonial in quotation marks there because okay, now that ceremonial dagger, I've seen some of them, and that dagger is not very ceremonial. It's much like my letter opener that I got and sharpened. Yeah, is it officially a letter opener? Yes. Is it also a double-edged dagger that could plunge into somebody's body and cause immense damage? Yeah. And a scheme do. What is a scheme do? That is a new one on me. SKEENDOO. Scheme do blades for sale. Images. I am not. Sometimes I hate Bing when they do this because I'm getting. Are you sure that's spelled right, Fury? Maybe I need to put in Scott, STOTISH. Okay, here we go. Yeah, that's what I needed to do. I needed. I mean, all it is a knife. I mean, let me go ahead and share this picture real quick. I like it when I get free education. It just looks like a. Now, see, I don't like small blades like that. To me, those small blade like that, an inch long is basically worthless. I can't think of what I'd ever use. If I'm wanting a knife blade for something, I'm wanting a knife blade at least 3 inches, 2.5 to 3 inches at least. So, but anyway, but I imagine it's been modified for, a boot knife. Okay. Okay. I see what you're saying now. All right. Now, this case. In the Groff case, the United States Postal Service had initially allowed him to avoid Sunday shifts. But after the post office where Groff worked joined other nationwide carriers in delivering Amazon packages in 2015, the company said his services were needed on Sunday too. As Amazon deliveries soared, swapping shifts with coworkers was no longer working out. The local postmaster had to deliver mail himself given the lack of staff. And he argued finding someone to cover Sunday shift was time consuming and an added burden. Other workers complained that Groff's accommodations meant they had to take more weekend shifts. Groff refused to work half days on Sunday after attending worship service, saying, "I told my supervisor, it's the Lord's day, not the Lord's morning." Okay, this guy is obviously a true believer. Groff claims by 2019 he faced an ultimatum: practice his faith or lose his job. He resigned in 2019 and sued USPS. He lost in federal district court and U.S. appeals for Third Circuit in Philadelphia. That doesn't surprise me he'd lose in Philadelphia. The courts relied on the Hardison standard, which required showing just a minimal cost to employers to lawfully deny Groff's request. So if Groff was a practicing Muslim, would they deny his request? Would he have lost if he was a practicing Muslim? That's, it's a shame, but that's a question we have to ask. Hey, Dr. Functional, good morning to you. Groff argues the 1977 Supreme Court's ruling liberal interpretation of undue hardships is erroneous and harmful to employees. That sort of interpretation can't be squared with the plain language of Title VII, which is true. The law says one thing, the Supreme Court ruling says something else. Groff is not asking for blanket acceptance of religious accommodations, but rather more intentional scrutiny about what constitutes an undue hardship. That could mean requiring the employer to show evidence of difficulty in light of their financial resources, number of workers, and the nature of its operation for excusing an employee for accommodations. But the question is when they do, okay, in this case here, that local post office signed a contract to become a carrier for Amazon. All right. It wasn't forced on that post office. They willingly accepted. They accepted it knowing that Groff had religious accommodations being made for him for his Sundays being off. They signed it knowing that what their manning would be on Sundays because of Groff being off for religious purposes. So they brought on that undue hardship upon themselves. It's not like it was just there. It's not like it existed before Groff was employed. Okay. They knew about this they knew what their situation was way in advance of accepting this contract. And I think that really goes against them. You know, they could have always hired another employee. I mean, the post office is infamous for part-time employees. So they could very easily have hired a part-timer to cover these religious accommodations. Fury, you're not the only one that gets confused by some of these laws, because a lot of them are very discriminatory to start with. What will apply, at least in application, maybe not in wording, but in application. You can't discriminate in hiring unless you're going to discriminate against a white male or against any male. Because you want to hire more females, you can say female only position, but you can't say male only. A woman can refuse to be searched by a male cop, but a male can't refuse to be given a body search by a female cop. But in application, you know, even though if you were to read the strict wording of the laws and apply them as strictly worded, both of those would be illegal. But in application, they're quite discriminatory. The local post office obviously didn't have many employees, so coworkers had to pick up the slack for Sunday days off. Just don't deliver on Sundays. I mean, sorry, we don't have the people to make these deliveries. Okay? I mean, anyway, the post office argument relies on the idea that Hardison is precedent and as such should not be easily overturned. Now, isn't it amazing how, and this is how easily, well, we need to overturn this precedent, but we can't overturn that because it's precedent. Well, we found this right in the Constitution by mixing together this, and this, but this right, which is explicitly stated, well, that right really doesn't exist without severe limitations put on it. You know, American jurisprudence, American laws are so far from what they were originally designed to be, what the founding was designed to hold. It's when only lawyers make laws, they make laws that only lawyers can understand. That's what my father used to say. And I'm sure he's not the first one to say that. It's just he's the one I heard say it first. Let's see here. Here's going. The court ruled in a 1990 case that a Seventh-day Adventist working at the Chrysler Corporation could not have his schedule accommodated to observe the Sabbath because it would have cost the company about $1,500 a year. Wow. Court upheld denying Sabbath accommodations to Orthodox Jews in a 2026 case involving Quest Diagnostics because it would have negatively affected the morale of employees without the same religious needs. In 2018, a court upheld Walgreens' decision to fire a black Seventh-day Adventist employee who worked at a call center and refused to work on Sabbath. Okay, this is interesting here. Muslims make up less than 1% of the U.S. population, but account for 18% of religious accommodation claims. All right, working class employees are often the ones asking for religious Well, of course, it's working class people. The CEOs, the office dwellers. The office dwellers aren't the ones who need these accommodations because they can take their time off as they wish for the most part. Almost 3/4 of the claims involve those in non-professional positions such as truck drivers, security guards, factory workers. Workers from minority or low-income workers don't have the bargaining power or cultural cachet to easily convince their employer to make changes or accommodation to allow their non-threatening religious practices. All right. But things have changed a little bit. In 2015, a case where the apparel company, Abercrombie & Fitch, refused to hire a 17-year-old Muslim woman who wore a hijab because it violated the store's look policy. And this, the Supreme Court, made up of 6 conservative and 3 liberals, has been open to claims of religious discrimination by Christians. The court's verdict in the Groff case could clarify the standard of employers need to meet to deny religious accommodations. And yes, I do believe religious workers do need to have, truly religious people do need to have their religious accommodations made within reason. Now, the problem here, like it is with anything else, and how can it's like the ADA laws, Americans with Disability laws. All right. The law is written as such, especially when it comes to service dogs. Okay. A restaurant, a hotel, a store cannot refuse entry or service to somebody who has a service dog. All right. It's absolutely illegal. However, that customer, that guest, that whatever you want to call them, is not required to prove that their animal is a service dog. All they got to do is say it is. There is no federal licensing or state licensing of service dogs. Now, you see these ads and such in the newspapers and in magazines and on the internet all the time about, you know, get your dog registered as a service dog. There's no such thing. There is no such thing. You send in a picture of your dog, they send you back a little ID-sized card saying your dog is a service dog. They give you, you know, you can go on Amazon and buy a body harness for your dog and with service dog or service animal emblazoned on it or on a Velcroed patch. There is no set, all right. There are no standards set. There's no way to prove it. Just, and yes, I'm getting there, just as there's no way to prove that this person is actually religious and isn't using this as a way of ensuring that they never have to work a weekend. They can sit there and cuss up a storm. They can sit there and, you know, talk about the porno that they watch. They can sit there and do all this all week long, but still claim to be a practicing Christian, a practicing Jew, a practicing Muslim, and requiring the religious accommodation. And the employer has got nothing to back them up on it. So, you know, I'm seeing this from both sides because I've seen abuses from both sides, especially the ADA one. Anytime that you grant a group an exception of any kind, there's going to be people doing their best who aren't part of that group to pretend that they are. Okay, Fury. If you require Saturdays off, but your job as a event steward, okay, get no job offers required weekend work. It's your hours. All right. Food establishments can refuse access to service animal soaking venues, even if registered. Now, it's, okay, so y'all register your service animals there in the default no animals allowed on business private premises unless specified or specifically authorized. Okay. I would like to see, and there is no way that you can get a government license. Yes, you are a Christian. Yes, you are a Muslim. There's no way that can happen. Okay. I'm just saying this, no matter how the courts rule, this is open for abuse by one side or another. No matter how the Supreme Court rules, this is going to be open for abuse. And I'm not sure how it's going to end. I'm really not. So, I mean, for this guy's sake, I mean, he was obviously a practicing Christian prior to all this going on because it was part of his. No, the USPS did not work on those days anyway. But anyway, yeah, there's issues here. And Supreme Court, what they do, what they say is, like I said, there's no perfect way for this to win. I've downloaded the audio of the hearing, so I will be, if I decide to come back to this, I will edit together some of the better questions of how things went, and we'll play them back and discuss those, discuss the questions and what we think about them. But it was a 3.5 hours, I think, and there's no way in hell I'm going to play 3.5 hours of questions and answers. I mean, that'd take weeks to go through. But remember, I said we're talking about two different things dealing with this. And here the two things dealing with religion. And here's the second one. Minneapolis is now going to allow Islamic call to prayer 5 times a day over their loudspeakers. The Islamic call to prayer will soon echo through the streets of Minneapolis, Minnesota, as it becomes the first large city to approve mosques to publicly broadcast the call to prayer 5 times a day. Now, where I find this to be this is forcing everybody, believers and non-believers, to listen to broadcast prayers 5 times a day. This is forcing someone else's religion on my ears, where I cannot get away from it. Yes, you have street preachers. You can walk away from a street preacher. But you can't walk away from a broadcast loudspeaker atop of a mosque. You can't walk away from that. That is stuck there. You're stuck. Especially if you live within earshot of that thing. No, because this law is specifically, this ruling is specifically for Islamic call to prayer. It excludes everybody else. Everybody else is not included. It's not an inclusive law or exemption. It is an exclusive. It excludes everyone except Islamic. Okay? The Minneapolis City Council unanimously approved a resolution making changes to the city's noise ordinance, which had prevented some morning and evening calls during certain times of the year. This is a historic victory for religious freedom and pluralism in an entire nation. No, it's not. This is forcing your religion on my ears. This is enforcing your religious beliefs on my ears. Up until now in Minneapolis, people had the right not to hear your call to prayers, especially your early morning and evening ones. Because as we all know, different times of the year, that sun comes up and sets either very early or very late. The city allowed year-round broadcasts of the call to prayer last year, but only between 7 a.m. and 10 p.m., excluding some morning and evening prayers. They should never have allowed the year-round broadcast. They should never allow the broadcast. Somebody should have brought suit last year. Honestly. Yeah, exactly, Fury. I used to live in northeastern Ohio. I grew up in northeastern Ohio. I know what it's like not to have the sun set until very, very late at night after I've gone to bed, or very early or the sun get, very early in the morning, because I used to have to get up with the sun. So now this is, I am a firm believer in freedom of religion up until the point you are forcing your religion on my ears. I should have the right to walk away from hearing your religious beliefs. And that includes your call to service, your call to prayers. I should not have to hear that. I hope somebody takes this to court. Yeah, right about that too, Fury. Prayers take place when the light appears at dawn, at noon, at late afternoon, and at sunset when the night sky appears. In Minneapolis, dawn comes as early as 5:30, and sunset is after 9 during certain times of the year. Since the 1990s, Minneapolis has had a vibrant community of immigrants from the Far East Africa and mosques have become a commonplace throughout the city, where 3 of the 13 member city council identifies Muslim. All right. How many of those people are supposed to be temporary refugees, but have been living here since the 1990s? Now, that's some temporary status, 30 years. Yeah, Neil, if we haven't, we're on our way to, unless there's a radical shakeup somewhere. Something extremely radical has to happen to change it. In 2010, an effort to build a mosque and community space near Ground Zero, the site of 9/11 counts, faced various pushbacks from anti-Muslim groups, as eventually forcing the planners to abandon the effort. Former U.S. President Donald Trump also leaned anti-Muslim rhetoric and policies such as a Muslim ban. Bullshit! That was not a Muslim ban. That restricted people from numerous Muslim majority countries from entering the United States. And the same countries that Obama had restricted entry from. Why? Because these were countries known to harbor terrorists. Oh my God, we want to stop terrorists from coming into our country. Therefore, we're going to restrict Muslims, restrict not just Muslims, but people from certain countries from entering our country. Are we denying them because of their faith? No, we're denying them because of the high probability that they're a terrorist. I knew I couldn't get through this article without yelling. I didn't read all the article. I just looked for a decent article that didn't have a bunch of ads all over the place. And unfortunately, I come to Al Jazeera for an article that didn't have a bunch of ads. Yeah, you're right, Ron. There is no such thing as a temporary refugee anymore. Yep, you're not wrong about that either, Fury. Okay, well, we already talked about that. I spent all day yesterday fussing about people lying when they get up before Congress. I'm not going to do that again today. What's this? Okay. Oh my God. I'm going to have to find me a palate cleanser for when this is done after this one here. Reason 1,100,198 as to why the United States needs to get the hell out of the UN and tell them and kick them off our country, off our shores. Send them over to The Hague. Get rid of get them completely out of our country. Withdraw membership from the UN. Get them out of our country. Tell them to go F off. All right. Ramen, find me a palate cleanser because I don't have one and I'm going to need it after this. Okay. The 8 March Principles for Human Rights-Based Approach to Criminal Law Prescribing Conduct Associated with Sex, Reproduction, Drug Use, HIV, Homelessness, and Poverty. This is out of the UN. Okay. And the International Commission of Jurists. Composed of 60 eminent judges and lawyers from all regions of the world, the International Commission of Jurists promotes and protects human rights through the rule of law, using its unique expertise to develop and strengthen national and international justice systems. Established in 1952 and active on 5 continents, the ICJ aims to ensure the progressive development and effective implementation of international human rights and international humanitarian law. Progressive development. Keep that in mind. Secure the realization of civil, cultural, economic, political, and social rights. Safeguard the separation of powers and guarantee the independence of the judiciary and legal profession. Okay. The International Commission of Jurists, Rue des Baz 3, P.O. Box, Geneva, Switzerland, and then yada, yada, yada. All right. Now I'm going to go all the way down to page number 24. Special Part 3, Application to the Criminalization of Conduct Associated with Sex, Reproduction, Drug Use, HIV, and Homelessness and Poverty. Oh, somebody else is already talking about this there, Neil? Okay. Come down here to Principle 16. Let's see here. Can I make this bigger so y'all can see it? All right. Consensual sexual conduct. Consensual sexual conduct, irrespective of the type of sexual activity, the sex/gender, sexual orientation, gender identity, or gender expression of the people involved or their marital status may not be criminalized in any circumstances. Consensual same-sex, as well as consensual different-sex sexual relations, or consensual sexual relations with or between trans, non-binary, and other gender-diverse people, or outside marriage, whether premarital or extramarital, may therefore never be criminalized. With respect to the enforcement of criminal law, any prescribed minimal age of consent to sex must be applied in a non-discriminatory manner. Enforcement may not be linked to the sex, gender of applications, or the age of consent to marriage. Moreover, sexual conduct involving persons below domestically prescribed minimum age of consent to sex may be consensual in fact, if not in law. In this context, the enforcement of the criminal law should reflect the rights and capacity of persons under 18 years of age to make decisions about engaging in consensual sexual conduct and their right to be heard in matters concerning them. Pursuant to their evolving capacities and progressive autonomy, persons under 18 years of age should participate in decisions affecting them with due regard to their age, maturity, and best interest, and specific attention to non-discrimination guarantees. Hello, 13-year-olds wanting to have sex with somebody over 25. Hi, Ramen. Bye, Ramen. Hello to 13-year-olds and 25-year-olds, 30-year-olds having sex. And well, they knew what they were doing, therefore it's legal. They consented to it. What, Fury? Oh, you're having a breakfast battle? Okay. 12-year-olds for prostitution and adult film work? Holy crap. Talk about making pedos happy as hell. This is enough to turn my stomach. It really is. This is enough to make me want to go and pour a glass of whiskey and down it regardless. Hey, Mr. Scott, how you doing today? What parts of the world? Well, Fury just told us. I never would have thought of a Western country saying a 12-year-old can be a prostitute or work in porno. I never would have thought that'd be something I'd ever see as somebody in the Western world. Would I expect it out of some Middle Eastern hellhole? Some South American hellhole? Some Latin American, Central American hellhole? Yeah. But I would never expect that out of a Western civilization. Somebody brought up a good point the other day, Raman. Wood chippers are too fast. Wood chippers could be too fast. Wood chippers in Minecraft would be too fast, too quick. I would almost, for some individuals in Minecraft, I would much rather see something along the lines of the man with the silver gun and that little laser thing that he had aimed at James Bond's crotch. Well, I'd rather see that, just go, instead of going vertically, going horizontally, starting at the toes. Just strap them down and have that little laser beam go back and forth, starting at their toes and working their way up. Because it would instantly cauterize the wounds at the same time. So, that would just leave pain and the scent of burning flesh. But of course, that's only in Minecraft world. Okay. Let me open up in YubiTubi and see what we got here. And hide that mute. And where is that link at? Twitter life news status. Okay. What we got here? Oh my God. No. How did I miss this? Okay. It's just, why? Okay, this is out of Oregon. Why does it not surprise me? Oregon bill would revoke parental rights, allow secret abortions on 10-year-old girls. Oregon Democrat leaders are rushing through a radical pro-abortion bill this spring that would allow girls as young as 10 to get an abortion or get coerced by an abuser without their parents' knowledge or consent. The shock was audible when an attorney for the Oregon legislature confirmed a minor of any age could have an abortion without her parents' knowledge during a legislative committee meeting, according to the video shared by Oregon House Republicans. When asked if House Bill 2002 would allow 10-year-olds to make that decision on their own, the attorney confirmed it would. Her response drew shock and confusion among lawmakers. Responding, the attorney confirmed again, a minor of any age can make reproductive health care decisions, and that includes undergoing abortion. All right, let's see if I can find that. See if this actually opens to a video. Okay, so let me share this video. Come on. Why, first of all, why are they allowing 10-year-olds that?
So follow up. So a 10-year-old can make that decision on their own then?
Chair Sanchez, Senator Steiner, yes.
10-year, no,
No,
10-year-old.
I didn't think so for that. I thought it was, okay.
Okay.
I'm looking it up.
Sorry, let me clarify, Rep. Sanchez, Senator Steiner, Senator Knoop. Under the House Bill 2002, a minor of any age can make reproductive health care decisions, and that includes undergoing an abortion.
So
What? Now, that's a good question. Which elected official got a 10-year-old pregnant? Lord, just go ahead and end this earth. Just end it. Have the meteor strike us. Get it over with. Just drop the meteors on us. End the planet. This experiment in allowing free will has failed. It is unfreaking believable that something like this would be allowed. What lawyer, what person would think that something like this would be allowable under the law? A 10-year-old going in to get an abortion on her own without parents being involved. Thank you, Duck Dog. Thank you. But you see, patient, as there was a case a few years back, all right, where a DA wanted to subpoena an abortion clinic's records. They asked for all records involving patients 17 years of age or younger. Obviously, those would be cases involving sexual misconduct on somebody's case. Or was it 16 years of anyway, it was at the age of consent. It was just 1 year below the age of consent. All right, so if age of consent was 17, they asked for 16 and under. All right. And the abortion clinic declined, refused, and went to court, yada, 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 and was able to withhold those records under patient confidentiality laws. And there is no law requiring, you would think that the laws requiring doctors to report to law enforcement cases of sexual or abuse or physical abuse, including sexual abuse, would include, this girl's pregnant. We had to abort a baby because this girl was pregnant. That would definitely fall, this 15-year-old girl is pregnant. That falls under suspected child abuse, sexual abuse. You would think that would have to be reported to the police for investigation. But they got away from doing it using doctor-patient confidentiality laws. No, yeah. That's what I was just saying, Raman. The doctors said they did not have to report these because it fell under doctor-patient confidentiality. They didn't feel, the mandated reporter laws didn't apply in this case. And as far as I know, they won in court. In Minecraft, Robin. In Minecraft. Well, I was in a better mood. I was in a better mood. You know, because this nonsense with the UN, obviously, you know, and this International Association of Jurists out of Geneva, Switzerland, you know, that would not necessarily affect us here in the United States. But remember, Fury, what I said earlier. What the strict reading of the law actually says and how it's been applied are often two different things. Okay? Is often two completely different things. And that's one of the things that hurts the average man who sits there and reads the law and thinks they understand the law. Then they turn around and read the law, and then they see how it's been applied in court cases, and they sit there and shake their heads. Like, how? How did this get this way? This makes no freaking sense whatsoever. But that's how it's gone through. So it makes no sense. We have to sit here and wonder about it. And the application of the law, oftentimes, you just sit here and shake your head. And you wonder how these exemptions got made. And how this precedent got set and got away with being set. And then all of a sudden, well, that's been precedent for the past 10 years. We can't change it. Or that's been precedent for the past 10, 20 years or 30 years. And it's something stupid that never had not come back up in all those years. So it never got looked at again. Oh yeah, Tommy Robinson, wasn't he arrested for releasing some Muslims' names that was part of a groomer gang there in England? And he was charged for releasing their names, even though they had something along those lines. Yeah. I remember when that happened. God, we're going back. Tommy Robinson hasn't been in the news for years. It's been a long, especially internet years. Yeah, I remember when he was the thing going on over there. Okay, 3 months, yeah. Or 3 months, yeah, 3 months. So, yeah, that's back when, oh crap, now I can't remember his name. One of the big British YouTubers decided to run for office. Sargon. That Sargon of Akkad. I don't know how many of you guys remember Sargon of Akkad. Carl Benjamin. Yep. Okay, that's his real name. And he really made a lot of money with reporting on Tommy Robertson and such. Okay, all under 16 automatically anomalized even in interdepartment communiques. I don't watch the Lotus. I haven't watched the Lotus Eaters in a long time. Again, my time on the internet is amazingly short considering I only work 15 and a half hours a week. So anyway, well, okay, today's going to be a short stream. Can I find something legal that we can do as a cleanser here? No, I don't want to worry about what's this? What's Ken Pax talking about? This weekend, the politics over participation next federal. No, why do I even? Why do I look? Why do I even bother looking at Twitter sometimes? Why do I even watch Twitter sometimes? Okay, I have no. Mother of the Ohio 10-year-old rape victim tells Telemundo the child is fine. Everything they say about Garrison Flores is a lie. Oh, this was the guy that I remember this case. Garrison Flores trial. That guy's just now going to trial? No. This happened a while, years ago. I thought he would have already been convicted and gone to jail by now. Court date set for a trial of a man who accused of raping a 10-year-old in Ohio, then left the state for abortion. Right. And then remember the girl that when Ohio changed their abortion laws and the girl went to Indiana to have her abortion, and it turned out, the abortionist had made a big deal about it. How, this girl had to leave the state to get an abortion, yada, yada, yada. And then it turns out that what it was a rape case. It wasn't another young child that got her impregnated. It was an actual physical rape case. Well, that guy is going on trial today, but because the media used this as a way of getting back against Republicans and people who are wanting to put abortion restrictions in law, right? Mom, she didn't have to leave. The mom was protecting her rapist, right? Let's see here. We're still. Okay. Wow. The case was supposed to start back in January. It was actually supposed to start back in 2022. Then I got pushed back to January 2023, and it's just now getting around to get started. He's still being held on a $2 million bond. Damn straight that bastard should be held on $2 million bond. Yeah, just ignore that they're 10 years apart in ages. Well, morning delivery's done. Well, I'm glad I could keep you entertained somewhat during your morning deliveries. Thank you, Neil. I appreciate that. I hate to say it. I hate to admit this, but a lot of times I go through Twitter just looking for news stories because a lot of times I can get informed of short snippets of a lot of different news stories faster through Twitter than I can through using any of the aggregators out there. Because a lot of these aggregators, they won't tell you about stories other than ones that they want you to know about. And it's like that UN option six, number 16. I found that through Twitter. That wasn't on any of the aggregator sites I went through yesterday or today. So, yeah, that's a whole thing. That is a whole thing there. So, Twitter's sometimes a lot quicker to find news stories about than anybody else is. John Fetterman, I do not have a body double. Okay, this guy is an elected official. He looks like a bum.
Hey everybody, it's me, Senator John Fetterman, and I just want you to know that I'm back and I'm feeling great, 100%. And during my time during the hospital, the Fringies really came up with a conspiracy that I have a body double. And I just want you to know that is just crazy. That's not true. And dude, John, what event am I supposed to be doing this afternoon? Dude.
Okay, first of all, this guy looks like Lurch without needing to use any makeup. He dresses like a damn bum. He's always dressed like a damn bum. I mean, that's the way, I don't wear hoodies, but that's the way I dress, but that's only if I'm in the house where nobody can see me. I go out in public, if I'm going to be out where people can see me, I put on long pants. I don't dress like I'm a 13-year-old.
Really?
Just the two of us. We can make it if we.
What unfreaking believable. Yeah, stick a light bulb in your mouth, right? Uncle Fester. So what else is out there? I have to admit that was a good response. That was a lot better than what I expected him to say. So that's the kind of response that needs to be made to stupid comments. Make a joke out of it. So I have to give him credit for that. Let's see. Today marks the 30th anniversary of the end of the ATF and FBI raids at Waco, where they intentionally killed all them people, especially the children. Let's see here. What else is going on? Abortion is healthcare. No, abortion is murder. Knife wielding man attacks people at a gym in Duisburg, Germany before fleeing. At least 4 people seriously injured. Well, it's only a knife. It's only a knife. At least it wasn't a gun, right? Title 42 expires in May. Yep. We all know that. Let's see. That's okay. All right, people. We're going to go ahead and call this today. If I dress like a 13-year-old, I'd be wearing all black and have long hair. Oh, wait. Okay, y'all didn't need to hear that nasty sound. I didn't need to hear that nasty sound. Anyway, everybody, have a good day. Thank you for coming out and listening to me. Fury, thank you. Duck Dog, Ramen. I appreciate everybody showing up today. And like I said, I always appreciate the feedback that y'all give me when I get it. I appreciate that too. You all know my DMs are open. Just look me up. I'm there. And we will catch y'all tomorrow. Let's see. Tomorrow will be Thursday. All right. And everybody have a good day. Be with the ones you love and love the ones that you're with. Later.